every athlete, every person, every human being has an opportunity. Some opportunities don't come when you want them. But if you're prepared, good opportunities can happen. Always be ready, because you never know when your number is gonna get called.
I'm not coming back.
Emiy Apparel. Encourage me. I'm young.
Calvin T. Mann, leading Emiy, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to Emiy TV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Well, good afternoon. Twinkle, twinkle, a little star. How I wonder where you are. We're talking about the seeds of life today. My name is Calvin T. Mann. I gotta say, God is good to me. Ooh-wee. And just looking forward to the future. One day I'm gonna bring my man Saul Paul. We're gonna have him on. Shout out to Saul Paul in Houston, Texas, and for allowing God to manifest in our work. Today is going to be a good day. People running late, so you'll see them eventually. But we wanted to get right into this conversation about the healthy seeds of life. There's a conversation that I often have with men about protecting their seed, knowing exactly what that means. And we have this situation where our seeds are spread out and they're in these areas. And you look up and your seed gets nurtured by someone else, not the actual nurturer, the father. We also, in this process, which is going to be interesting to have this conversation later on, because we did something interesting with our mentees around cultivating their seed. We wanted to teach them the value of fatherhood and the seed and how they should be when they become adults, and understanding that their seed is not for every soil. And I tell men this because it's important for us to understand that the soil for which you are plant the seed in must be a cultivated soil that is healthy and that's healthy, and it's a good place to have your seed. And as we have been intruded, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's usually you that's the one's behind.
Say that again.
I said it's normally you that's behind.
Did you just? Oh, okay. All right. Normally,
I'm happy to be here, though. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah.
And
Welcome.
Monique, I know you've been holding it down for me.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were having the discussion about the seeds of life and understanding what that looks like. And cultivating a healthy seed requires healthy soil. So the soil will produce a healthy crop.
Yes.
In this conversation, as I often have with men, you must understand the soil for which you plant your seed in, and you got to take a strong evaluation to know that this is a safe space to put your seed in. Too many times we bought into it the other way around, right? And we've done things, and then when you look up, your seed is not cultivating properly. And then suddenly the crop moves. And now the seed is being watered and sprayed and nurtured by someone else. But Heather, welcome. How you doing again?
I'm feeling really good today. It's a beautiful day outside. It's, a great time and a great day to be here.
What else is going on?
Oh, I'm loving the topic, the seeds of life. Part of that, the thought of that is around, some of the activity that's been happening in our program with our boys, and them being able to understand, using that example of seeds around parenting, and how important it is for them to understand that, parenting is a process. And I'm not sure if you talked about that. Are we going to get to talk about that?
Yeah, we most definitely going to talk about it.
Okay.
I was just
warming us up. You were
warming us
framing
up,
us.
right? Because the healthy seeds, as we know, has to be cultivated before it is put into the soil.
And are you talking about the metaphoric meaning of soil and seed?
Yes. I'm talking men and women. I'm talking plants, flowers. I'm talking fruit, vegetables.
Birds and the bees.
Birds.
And
birds.
sex.
Birds can't hit the bees, but the birds and the bees with the bees.
You're talking about the sex.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm talking about the sex portion.
The intercourse.
The
love
course.
making.
Right. Enter the course. Right. It has to be a process. So yes, we're having this conversation around the healthy seeds of life. So you wanted to talk veggies first, right? And vegetables and meals and recipes, right? And so we've been discussing different recipes.
Oh, I know, Monique. I know you got a good one. What's your best recipe?
Oh gosh, probably.
Like, you have a dessert recipe, you have a kind of meal recipe. What's a one pot or one?
Probably my chili. It's not real complicated, but
okay.
Yeah, I use like different beans and everything.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah. I love beans. I am a bean eater. I love them. Yeah. Most kinds of beans. I love. Yeah, but I love baked beans.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And, in my head, I'm programmed that whenever there's anything close to barbecue, anything close to going on a grill, it has to be some baked beans.
Yes.
They have to be somewhere close. Yep. So I feel like I have finally perfected my baked beans.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm known for my baked beans.
Okay. What do you put in them?
So first, I do let them simmer or soak, if you will.
Yes.
And a little nutmeg, some vanilla, and a little bit of brown sugar. I let them soak in that for about 45 minutes before I start to prepare them at all.
Oh.
Yeah, so I really like that flavor, that nutmeg to set in, and the vanilla. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because sometimes I get them out of the can. So
yeah, me too.
so they're already hard when they're in the can, and so they whatever substance they put in there. Sometimes it's tomato sauce. Sometimes it's what's the other like brown sugar, those kind of things. But I always rinse them out before I prepare them, so I don't take them to the can into the pot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I rinse them off first so that I can make sure that it's really going to absorb the flavors that I like.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. And then I use lemon zest in once I'm baking them. I, grate the rind of the the shell of the lemon. I make sure I have lots of lemon zest in there. Then I add my brown sugar and cinnamon. Then I add my cinnamon. So I put the nutmeg in first. The nutmeg, brown vanilla, and before I bake them with the cinnamon and the brown sugar and the lemon zest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes, because I found out that the order makes a difference, and it makes a difference if you rinse the beans first.
Oh, wow.
Because sometimes, especially when they come out of can, sometimes they have that canned taste to them, and it rinses all of that kind of off of it. Yeah, so, we have to be mindful of how much canned products we use and how much products we use, or how we cook our food, too. Oh, because aluminum and other metals get into our food. And you can also have, and this happened to a friend of mine who actually was a doctor, that he was cooking with aluminum pans, and so much aluminum got into his system that he started having, it looked like for him what was a heart attack, but he had so much metal in his system that it mimicked a heart attack.
Really?
Yeah, you can have an over absorption of metals in your system. Oh. Yeah. So there's some natural ways that you can pull that out of your system. One of the ways that we use cilantro is a good way. Cilantro pulls the metals and toxins out of your body. So if you do a lot of cooking with metal pans, and I'm not talking about cast iron. Cast iron pans are really the best ones to use. Okay. We have the ones that are, the non-stick ones. Yeah. They don't last very long in my house because I'm not the only one cooking. But cast iron pots and pans are really the best to cook with because they have the least amount of leakage, but even when they do, it's iron, and iron is necessary for your body. So some of the other metals are not necessary for your body, but they still begin to seep in depending on even aluminum foil. Wow. Is aluminum, right? Right. So right. So and you can really start balancing your system out when you start adding more cilantro to your foods and your cooking. It is a natural detoxer of metals. Okay. Yeah, and we do a lot of cilantro. They don't know that, but they get a lot of cilantro.
We know that. I know that.
Do you?
Yes. I'm a cilantro eater.
Oh, good. And celery helps too.
Celery helps.
Yeah, because celery helps to build your insulin. It's a natural form of insulin. So those are really good, ingredients to put in your foods, incorporate. Because, you can hide celery. After, especially if you're cooking food, you can hide celery in dishes and things like that. Yeah, but we need more. So if you're out there listening, these are two herbs that you need to include more and more. It's cilantro, and then you also need to include celery because we have a predisposition, a lot of us, for the lack of insulin or you're too much insulin. So it helps you to balance it out. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Calvin, while you're...
Well, I was just going through my head about my recipes. Two of my... Calvin has three things that I really absolutely love that he makes. We're kind of off of chicken now, but he makes a stuffed chicken thigh. That really... He made that for me, and some spinach, and the way he makes spinach. Oh man, that's kind of what turned me out on his cooking was the chicken thighs, the baked stuffed chicken thighs, and the spinach. And that was my real introduction to the fact that he could cook. Yeah, that kind of turned my head twice. But he's a master on the grill. He's a master on the grill. So those are my favorite three things. He can cook other things, but those are my favorite three. Yeah. So I was just, again, trying to process, and thank you for that. I was just trying to process exactly one of the things that I really like to cook. I'm a breakfast guy. And my latest thing involved coleslaw, eggs, and mushrooms. Right? So I learned to make this stuffed mushroom.
Oh man, that was so good.
Yeah.
Stuffed mushrooms.
And the secret ingredient was the coleslaw. And taking the package of coleslaw with the olive oil and putting the coleslaw in the olive oil. Right? Then once you season it with the egg and whatever else you're going to put in there, so it's mushrooms, you chop up mushrooms, you chop up other little vegetables, peppers and stuff like that, and you take and cut out the middle of the mushroom, and you got this egg mixture, and you pack it in. You sprinkle a little cheese on it, and you shove it in the oven for a little bit, right?
But you are talking about the giant Bella mushroom because it's a meal in of itself.
It's a meal in itself. Yeah.
Okay.
And I really like that.
I really like when you make it too.
Right? And it's been it's an energy giver, but that's one of the things that I found that I like. I've been looking at a lot of recipes lately because Instagram will force you to look at recipes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
For real.
true.
And Instagram makes sure you look at recipes, right? And cooking and those types of things, which is brilliant on my end for thinking about it, because it's got more people cooking.
Yes.
Versus, of course you have a lot of restaurants, but it's got more people cooking, and that is something that we most definitely need to do more of. That's healthy, right? And so you're talking the seasons like turmeric and those types of things, being involved in different concoctions, and besides pulling metal out of your body, we're eating more fruit, moved away from the chicken. Was causing my sinuses
Right. Calvin is allergic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's recently developed an allergy to chicken, so we had reduced quite a bit of it.
Right. So my next move is to work on this stuffed salmon. I want to work on this stuffed salmon.
How was the salmon burger that you had, though?
It was good. It might have been just a little salty, right? But other than that, today I had it for breakfast.
What about the croquettes that I made the other day?
Oh, the croquettes was the beast. I told you that right there. Them croquettes you made the other day was on fire.
They were good.
They were good.
Thank you.
And good for you,
For sure.
right? And it's
I love flavor. I love the color.
It's a
masculine.
It's a masculine sport. The salmon croquette,
For sure.
right? And that's one of those things that not everybody can do it. My sister D, she get out on some salmon croquettes, and not everybody can mess with them croquettes. I mean, I've gone in the restaurant. We went to a restaurant, I'm going to say no name. We asked for the salmon croquette. They wanted $8. The croquette came out that big.
Oh, my goodness.
Was it worth
You
it?
got two.
Was it worth it? Though?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all. Your croquette was much better. It turned the taste off because the price was too high when you bring them out there like that. They like that and like that.
Wow.
And that's the croquette. And you put it on this little plate and you're like, yes, this is... Well, I'm like, what the hell is that? And so I'm going to pay all this money for these two little doodle balls. But I didn't row. I just never ordered them again. Never went back for that. Right? But right, and then I think some people overdo breakfast, right? But me, I'm a breakfast guy. And
What do you mean by overdue?
Well, I think they try to cachet it too much. You go to a certain restaurant, you say breakfast. We do a mean, my new favorite spot is Toast. So I like their breakfast because we kind of think alike. Let's just put a bunch of stuff in a bowl with some eggs and call it a meal, right? And so I like that. But when I go and I'm having eggs and you got some other stuff in the eggs and the eggs ain't right, or the potatoes ain't right, you know, it just you like, okay, you over chefed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are some restaurants that, you know, they do too much.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I wanted to look good eating it, you know, but you don't have to add hollandaise sauce to everything. But, you know, or some rich cream to it. I'm good with just scrambled eggs.
Yeah, I think it's all those brunch houses try to do things.
Well, yeah.
Right. And it's a market for it, clearly.
Yeah.
But I want to eat.
I like to believe if I opened up a breakfast spot, I'd smack them. One, I'm up early. Two, you're gonna get good food. 3, you're gonna get to smile. So it's gonna be about the ambiance. And 4, you know, it's gonna be food worth you sitting down and having this conversation. The Coney Island gives you 40 different options, but for breakfast, you don't need 40 different options. But you can really reel them in with 2 or 3 other options. I'm not getting ready to get his idea away on the podcast. But one thing for sure, looking at it from a restaurant perspective, I don't see what I'm thinking out there. And I think that would be a fit. But just a traditional breakfast, you know, should fall right in there like the country. You know, scrambled eggs, little hash browns. Hash browns is whack, though. Some people just cannot get the hash browns right.
Right. Well, that's why I like potatoes and onions. When I have you cook those potatoes and onions up right, and there's great seasoning on it. Yeah.
And somebody does that. I forget who it was that did it for us, or was I in Austin when I had it? It was in Austin.
You sure? Because we had a heck of a breakfast in Birmingham. It was a breakfast spot.
Oh, the breakfast
that we
spot
went
in Birmingham?
to. Calvin went we went every morning.
I'm ready to go back.
Every morning.
They had it right.
Yeah, they did.
They had it right. You didn't have to ask for the bacon to be thick. It was thick. All the food was fresh.
Yeah, everything was
Big
fresh.
Bad Breakfast is what the place is called.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Big Bad Breakfast.
Right,
and they not playing. And I'm talking about it's packed.
Yeah.
It was packed from top to bottom, 3 floors.
Yeah.
Big Bad Breakfast. And then you had the mimosas and the different flavors, but it literally was the menu was simple. It didn't have 40 items on it. And you could get the bar at the same time that morning. But the food, fresh, off the charts.
All the juices were fresh.
Everything.
Fresh
Off the
orange
charts.
juice,
Everything.
fresh apple juice.
Eggs, fresh.
Everything was fresh, really.
They even did what was that I had ordered? That shrimp thing. The next day they did like a shrimp po' boy type breakfast. Fire.
Yeah, it was
Big
really
Bad
good.
Breakfast.
It was really good.
Norwood, Alabama, which is right next to Birmingham. Literally, you get off the airplane, flying to Birmingham, drive, go to the hotel, bam, it's sitting right there.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's a lot of fun to have those memories at those amazing places. I'm not
Big
trying to
Bad
get
Breakfast
hungry.
would smack out here.
Okay, so let's pull it back.
I got family in Alabama, but I might travel for that if that's good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
My
enjoy it.
people are quite in Birmingham. They're in near close to the Georgia line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think it's a few of them in Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Big Bad Breakfast.
Okay.
And it's bad.
And so we were talking about, I did want to mention that, and of course Calvin knows this, I do a workshop called The Sensual Arts of the Goddess. And we talk a lot about the foods that are healthy for women and the foods that are healthy for men, because sometimes we don't understand when we're feeling more aggressive where that's coming from. So there are certain foods that are, and actually salmon is one of them, that is high in that testosterone that men need. And so it's good to make it, But for women, we should not eat it as often as we serve it to the men in our lives because they need it a lot more than we do. But again, there's some things that men should not have a lot of that women should.
Milk. Gave it up about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking about milk.
Oh, no, I just wanted to shout that in there like I had Tourette's. Milk!
But and the other thing I wanted to mention is that for all of the different recipes and all the different fruits, vegetables, meats, meals that you can find anybody on social media to tell you something different. And so, like we had, if you guys can recall, we had this big controversy around margarine and butter and which one is better and which all of that. Really, you have to make these kind of decisions for yourself. Take the best information. Actually find out what works best for you. There's a whole nother dynamic around food and your blood type. If you're willing to experience and expose yourself to that, you might want to follow that as a pathway. And then, like I was talking about, there are certain foods that are more beneficial for men than they are for women, and vice versa. That's another one. Some things that our children should be eating, and some things that they shouldn't. You know, reading your labels, all of those things are important to what you're taking into your body. And so those are also seeds of ideas. And so sometimes when you find yourself having nightmares, you might want to think about what you consume that day, especially if you were consuming a lot of meat that day. Because you have to remember that certain meats and the way that they are slaughtered, if you will, prepared, that also is in the memory of that meat that you're exercising. So be mindful of that too.
It's funny to me.
Yeah, be mindful of that too, because you can ingest some of that drama and trauma that the animal may have experienced by eating it. So just food for thought. Be mindful. And the other thing I want to make sure that everybody has a mindset to do is pray over your food. Raise the vibration of your food through gratitude, through not just gratitude for being able to eat it, but gratitude that it was prepared. That means the people who have prepared it for you. Gratitude in how you want it to affect your body. You have to speak into the things that you're consuming. That's even what you're drinking. And we know that, there have been enough documentaries around the impact and influence of water and how words can affect water and how it's a debate on it, 65 to 85% our bodies are made of water. Whichever you believe, it's still a huge impact. And so if water has memory and water can be affected by the words that are spoken over it, you have to be careful what words you speak over your body, what words you speak over your children, over your mates, over your relationships, because it does matter. And, it's another spiritual principle. The word is a spiritual principle. And so how you use it or misuse it, we'll see it play out in our lives. So be mindful. That's another seed of life that we have to make sure that we are addressing, are aware of, and that it is really important that we continue to cultivate the words that we use and how we use them.
Yes, that's very important. Clothes. We learned at our last event. By the way, we got an event coming up May 11th, right?
Yes, we do. Mother May I.
We got to get that flyer out. The Mother May I. Tell them about that.
So Mother May I is a part of a workshop series in our collaborative called the Ready Women Collective. And in that series of workshops, there's a monthly workshop and then there's a quarterly activity that I'm sure we're going to have a chance to talk about now and over the next couple of weeks. You'll hear a lot more about that. But for the Ready Women Collective, since February, we have been talking about spring cleaning and being ready to be mentally, physically, spiritually cleansed and clean so that we can take in new seeds of ideas, we can take in new information, and we can now, under Mother May I, we are going to release those things that no longer serve us. So that's mindset, that's behaviors, that's words that no longer serve us. And at our last workshop, which was amazing, all of the women there created, they started to see the things that they wanted in their lives. And so it is symbolic of as the seeds are, like Calvin talked about, being cultivated in the soil, as you're speaking life over those seeds, as you're watering them, as you're nurturing them, as you're giving them sunlight, they're starting to germinate and they're starting to grow. You start to see the roots at the bottom, and then you start to see the evidence of what you have been cultivating break through the surface. And that's really what we want to see happen in our own lives. The seeds that you plant, you want to see the breakthroughs. You want to see it manifesting. And so the more you start to see the growth, the more you start to see those seeds emerging in your life, you know that you are well on the way to having those things that you desired and manifested. And so we use the words to manifest, to be evidence of what was manifested in those seeds. So right now, there are a lot of the women who were at that workshop whose seeds have sprouted. They broke through the soil, and now they're becoming what they were meant to be. As they are becoming, whatever it was that they seeded is also manifesting and becoming what they needed to be. And so, there's a correspondence, and there's a spiritual law called the law of correspondence. We know it as above, so below. That is a spiritual law, spiritual principle. So the thing that is happening under the soil as a seed is also the thing that's happening in their lives, because that was the seed of the idea that is also manifesting. And so you can kind of put that same energy on the plant that you have on the thing that you want to seed. And so that's what we're seeing. And that's what a lot of the women have been reporting back, that their seeds are now growing and they're becoming what they needed to be. So I thought that was a really awesome workshop. And we talked about that same principle in our finances. We talked about that same principle in our personal life. We talked about that same principle in our purpose work and in our social world. So coming up in May is repairing the things. For me, I'm talking about the things that are socially in our lives, like our relationships that we need to repair. Places in our relationship that we need to repair is our broken trust. Once you have a trust broken, it's a lot of work to repair it. And so that's work in self-work that you do, that you do on your own, what your backstory is, and then how you trust other people and what you determine as a factor that is building trust in them. And so understanding how to do that and do that better is part of my contribution to this workshop coming up. We have other discussions around your financing, transforming your finances to what you want it to be. And it's amazing, as Crystal Gunn, who's our financial strategist and who covers that financial workshop, she talks a lot about the fact that there's so many people who don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. And so we have to start seeding that idea in our own lives. And then finally, what Dr. Suzanne Jarrett does of Fearless Minds, part of what she does is help you to explore the deeper meaning in your own lives. What's happening there? How are you going to release those things, again, that no longer serve you, that have been holding you back? And now it's time to envision what your life can be using your words as seeds. And then we have a special appearance and special words from our national encourager, who talks a lot about relationships and how we build that within our families, how we build that with our mates, how we build that with our children. It's also a lot of good information that's coming out of it. And we get rave reviews about these workshops. So get it while you can, when you have all four of these brilliant minds together working to deliver real content. So I would encourage you to take advantage of it. You can actually register RSVP your space on my website, which is yourinspiredwiththedjourney.com. That's yourinspiredjourney.com. You can go to my website to upcoming events and click on that tab and find out which workshop is coming up, which is May 11th.
So, yes. That's right. May 11th is going down, and hopefully you can come out.
Also, let me mention one more, because on May the 4th, I'm also a vendor at the Elizabeth's Conference. So the Visionary Conference that'll be held at the New People's Co-op on Woodward Avenue. That's on Saturday, May 4th. and it's going to be amazing. It's a whole host of women who are on that panel that are delivering real good content. There are lots of vendors that are be there and present who are really selling and sharing impactful information, tools, resources at that event. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, because you have to order tickets for that, you can go online to Eventbrite and look up the Elizabeth Visionary Conference and find it there and get your tickets now.
Awesome. May 4th and May 11th. Let's jump right into here because we're winding down. But this super perspective that, man, I just noticed I had my championship hat on this draft week this week. And I just wanted to remind you Lions fans that if you just kick a field goal, you might have won your first Super Bowl.
No.
You had a shot. All right? We had a shot, but here we go. I got the championship hat on from this year with Kansas City, and you know, it's crazy. Mahomes turned me into a fan. I have not bought none of this stuff till Mahomes hit that field. Anyway.
Right.
It's draft week this week. It's going to be popping all week. I'm sure it's popping downtown right now. Mm-hmm. It's going to be popping all week. I'm going to try to slide down maybe tomorrow or something. Sneak in there and see if I can, you know, grab something new that we don't know about or see something new jumping off before Thursday, because I know once Wednesday hit, it's on. When Wednesday hit, it's going to be crazy traffic, right? Mm-hmm. And so just excited about that. But I wanted to get into this piece, what we did with our mentees and our young men having to cultivate their seed. What a special time. We had the conversation with them about how one day they're going to be a father. And they needed to understand how important their seeds were. And in having that conversation with them, we then, Heather, and you could take it from here, but what I've seen, it's been amazing, but it has been like, I laughed very hard the other day when my man got in the car. He said, "This parenting is hard."
So, right.
Because they were tasked with, they have to take their seed with them everywhere they go.
Unless...
Go ahead, you tell them.
Okay, so the idea was to expose them to parenting. So in week 11 and 12, the conversation was around parenting and family, fatherhood. And so we know we want our boys to become healthy fathers, so that the seed of healthy fatherhood had to be planted now. As they are understanding it, as they are cultivating it, and we are helping them to cultivate the soil that seed of fatherhood is being planted in. And so the activity was that they were given a set of tools. Once they were given the set of tools, they went through a process of preparing the soil and then putting the seeds in the soil. And they were tasked, once they did that, to name the seed. Some of the things that they were required to do was speak to the seed, water the seed, make sure the seed had enough sunlight. And the other thing was that they had to keep the seed or the planter with them at all times, because there is an exchange when you have plants, especially people who know this, that you are gifting the seed with what it needs and the plants with what it needs, and they're gifting you back with the oxygen that we need. So if we are not taking care of our grass, and I'm not talking about the chemicals that go on it, because, you know, that's a whole nother story, but the greens, the things that we cultivate for fruits and vegetables, those are seeds for us. But it's not just that we're consuming it. It is that there is an exchange of oxygen. We need that oxygen. So that's one of the things that they were tasked to do. And in the event they were not able to take their whole planter with them, they had to arrange for a babysitter. So they had to find somebody who would sit with their plant, because their plant could not be left alone. It was too young, right? And so we talked about what they understood about when the mother is pregnant with the child, and how important it is for the father's voice to be heard. And so they had to speak to the seed. They had to speak life to the seed. So they were supposed to be speaking to the plant. So not just, carrying it around, but saying good things to it. What they wanted to be and how they wanted to become and what they wanted to be when it manifested. So they learned exactly if they were going to be herbs, vegetables, or flowers. And so that was the task that they had that they were challenged with. And so a week later, most of them came back, and the seeds had now sprouted. So they broken through the soil, and there's evidence of it. And so they were so excited about seeing the evidence of their parenting. Now remember, this is about parenting and fatherhood. And so how they were responding to how much work it was to make sure that it had water, and they couldn't forget it. They couldn't forget it, and some of the boys had forgotten it or couldn't take it to school, and they had literally had called grandparents and was like, I can't leave my seed alone. Can you watch my seed while I'm in school? And the grandparents' responses were, it just shows so much responsibility that they have, and how much it really meant to them. Because, you're thinking that they're not really going to take this as serious as it should be, but they really did, and they were listening. And so at our family day yesterday, they had a chance to showcase their seeds. Some had more growth than others. But some of the differences were how much time they spent with it, if they actually took it with them and they followed those principles. So the ones that actually followed the principles had more growth than the others who did not.
Yeah, it most definitely has been eye-opening watching the
young fathers.
Right. And
the seeds of fatherhood.
Right, and how frustrating it is for some and how it's not for others. Right. The question is how many. My question to them is, how much have you relied on your mothers and your parents, right, to assist you versus really organizing and taking the time to find a true sitter? Well, I can't. Well, Mom, will you watch it? Yeah, Dad, will you watch it? Like, knowing what do you have to do? Like, I would want all that smoke. I want to know who lied, right? Who manipulating? Because that's this whole story, because that determines. I want to share on that, seeing it when they come through the door and they got it, and bringing it with them, and having to set the plants on the table yesterday, and watching the people that didn't have them. Mm-hmm. And how they was looking around the room in response to those that didn't have them. And yesterday was such a good day for them, right? And that responsibility piece. I think a lot of people miss it. I think even with the kids that had to sell product, right? Which, I got to get that stuff, done so they can complete it. But you got, the different guys that's ready to set up. So I got to call Joe in so they can come in. Okay. That's exciting as well. Right. But I just remembered that I needed to speak with Joseph, right? Joe to come in, right? Other than that, it's been an amazing trip. Today is no different. Today is the last boss session for the 14 weeks.
And this is what BOSS represents, right. Building Our Sons. It's an acronym for that, and it's specific to the mothers and the grandmothers of the boys in the program.
Right. Gigi's supposed to bring my veggie wraps. We're gonna see if she made that happen. And just looking to go in and close out with the parents. Really looking forward to that conversation, right? What does that look like to close out and prepare for the end of the session?
And I just want to add, I know we're about to close, but I just want to add that when we're talking about the seeds of life, we're always planting what we want the outcome to be is what we cultivate. We're constantly planting by the words that we use, how we encourage, how we nurture, what we do for others. And it's not just our kids. We're constantly planting seeds. Remember, the principle is that you reap what you sow. That means the things that you have sown are going to be the evidence of what you see. In your life, you see in our community, this is the evidence of the seeds that we have sown. If we want to see something different, then we have to sow the types of seeds that will yield what we want to see. I think that's such an important tool for us to use, because we have control over that.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
We have control over what we seed, but we also have control over what we cultivate by the words that we use. So I think that's an important takeaway from our show today.
Do you?
Well, you know, we're out of time now, so I would love to have this conversation and keep going.
We still got a few, but just know that it's important that we cultivate the seed, and we can go into that. Heather, tell them where they can reach you at.
You can reach me by phone at 313-759-7855. Again, it's 313-759-7855. You can also visit my website at yourinspiredjourney.com.
With the Mother May I coming on May 11th, and then the other one May 4th at
the People's Community Co-op,
right
on Woodward Avenue.
Okay. So y'all know where I'll be on May 4th working. All right. So really excited about that. Go ahead.
Oh, and I did forget to mention that we are recruiting families with boys 3 to 7 for our Reading is Life pilot program. So it's going to be on Saturdays in May. So if you're interested, also reach out. You can reach out on our website. You can reach out on Emiy. You can reach us on social media to ask any other questions. But if you have a boy that is 3 to 7 years old and you're interested in being a part of our Reading is Life pilot, this is giving both parents and the boys tools for literacy. And it's going to be really fun and exciting. And we need all the tools that we can get, because parents were not born with those tools of parenting.
Right, and so it's a pilot, and so some information will be on the internet tomorrow for you to put your hands on it, see if you're interested with that, because this is our contribution to literacy, and we know it's hot, so we're just piloting it right now to get a feel, because it'll be in our Boy Steps program. So
Where do they reach you?
What'd you say?
Where do they reach you, Calvin?
Yeah, that's where I was headed.
Okay.
You can reach me at calvintman.com. Also in May, the second Thursday in May is the Good Fathers Only meeting. We're going to turn that up even higher and recruiting in other cities and states to find action, more guys who have action and want to build out this vision. And then we have June 4th, we'll be in Washington, D.C. launching Our Fathers Fatherhood magazine. So we're excited about that. Yes. So with that being said, we were talking seeds. You know, oftentimes we talk about the seed. What is the seed? What does the seed look like? I remember as a young man growing up, it was a 60-minute special. People were literally flying into Amsterdam and smuggling back to the U.S. weed seeds. And it was such a profound thing to watch the High Times magazine and those things seen as illegal, so they would illegally transport the seed to America where they could grow. And I bring that up because I think it's essential to understand just how important seeding is. If I am willing to go to jail for this seed, and I have to cultivate this seed, I have to water this seed, I have to watch this seed, I have to make sure that this seed is in proper soil, then we most definitely can parent our seeds better. And we most definitely can birth a better seed. When we talk about seeds, we talk about the actions that goes into making a child. We talk about the actions that goes into making a flower. We know everything around here procreates, from the trees to the bees to the dogs to the cats to the animals to the humans. That is also how things are reciprocal. Oftentimes, we don't even respect that. Some people go crazy for animals and will fight you, kill you, march you. Then we talk about the things where people don't value the seed. Then we talk about pro-life and all those things. We get into those conversations because there's a seed at stake. And a lot of times we get into these areas because we don't have the true information. Imagine you were seeded in bad information. You were told that it was this way when all along it was this way. They seeded in you this book when the truth actually was over here, seeded in its proper soil. So seeding is so important. Oftentimes we don't value that. Why? Because my seed, what is my seed? My seed is here. My seed is there. But the truth of the matter is, when seeding is properly done, and we're talking relationships now. When a man meets a woman, and a woman and a man merge, they decide that they want to be married. At a certain point, they know there's a possibility of life because we are merging emotions and spirits and oils and all these things that comes from your body. So from my body to your body, we've decided to become one, or 1.2, however you are enjoying your life. But the truth